The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! What? TV party tonight!
Oh, we got nothing better to do than watch TV and have a couple of brews.
Don't want to talk about anything else.
We don't want to know.
We're dedicated
To our favorite shows.
Oh, my circuit!
Everybody loves Hippo Toes.
Scary dog!
Pearson and Blurnsville.
Futurama!
Good evening. You are listening to a Radulich and Broadcasting Premier Podcast TV Party Tonight. I'm your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly unmodified Mr. Mark Radulich, and down there is my hetero life mate and brother from another mother. He's back after he missed the show because clearly he had other better things to do. Ladies and gentlemen, the wife calls him Chesty, but you know him as Jesse Starcher, that is. How you doing, sir?
Glad to be here. I'm glad to make it for season 2. I am excited. I'm sorry I missed the discussion for season 1, but you guys did a great job covering it.
Let me tell you, I've been going back through all the David Simon stuff that we did because I'm up to that part of my editing project. Like I just put all the David Simon stuff to the side that I was going to, and it just so happened that I waited so long to start cutting the David Simon stuff that I waited till you could do 30-minute uploads to TikTok. So, and then I got the brilliant idea to start putting them on YouTube, and what do you know? They're wildly popular, at least for us.
Oh, that's good. Oh,
so
right. Nice.
It did make me think that like the Mark and Jesse TV review is a very special thing ordained by God. And
oh, really?
And
I did not get that memo.
It was sent as a gift from the Jesus, Jesse.
Oh, wow.
So you can't miss any more of these, man, because clearly you and me are magic.
Well, I can't argue with God, can I?
Speaking of magic, the magic mic of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network, ladies and gentlemen.
Magic mic.
Wildin' out Robert Winfree. How you doing, sir?
I don't know how you could be so wrong.
and yet so right.
No. You see, because if that were true, then we'd have to have a Kevin Nash somewhere in this group.
Okay.
And no, there's not. And I do think you're right, though. Like you and the Starch, you got a good thing going on there.
I love
no better than that, huh?
I love my Jesse Starcher.
Juicy J.
Juicy J. Me and old Chesty here, we go down in the hole, don't we, Jesse?
Oh, boy, do we ever.
Speaking of down in the hole, Alexis Hejna's with us. How you doing, madam?
Wait, I'm not hosting tonight? What do you mean I'm not hosting tonight? I thought I hosted this show.
It's so funny because I just listened to that podcast. And I was like, man, I want to make a joke about that tonight. Beat me to it.
I want to jokingly chide you for that. What was the word you used? It was you said something about like this something bitch, and it made me laugh that you were like that like self-critical. It wasn't sanctimonious. It was something like I don't know, but yeah.
I don't know, but here, let me fix this for you.
Perfect. Thank you, dear.
Yeah.
All right. And now that we're all in our place for this exciting extravaganza, tonight we are continuing to discuss Ash vs. Evil Dead. Tonight is season 2. It's brought to you by the good people at Renaissance Pictures and Starz Originals. Ash vs. Evil Dead is still an American comedy horror television series developed by Sam Raimi, Ivan Raimi, and Tom Spezialy for Starz. It's set in the Evil Dead universe created by Raimi, with Bruce Campbell reprising his role as Ash Williams from the film series. It stars Ray Santiago, Dana DeLorenzo, and Lucy Lawless. Lee Majors shows up this year as Ash's dad, and I'm going to throw it to you.
The best Brock you'll ever see.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Second best Brock. Second best. Lee Majors.
I said what I said.
Lee Majors didn't throw imaginary speakers onto a briefcase and dance his giant ass down to the ring, so he'll never be the first best. But hey, we did a little over an hour on Ash versus Evil Dead. Jesse, what did you think of the first season?
I liked it. You guys got into a discussion about how you came to the franchise, and I definitely want to kind of set the table for how I came here too. I think a lot of it was comic books and the advertisements for Army of Darkness. And
oh yeah, those were.
I think, gosh, were they ever? Like, you pick up a early '90s comic book, on the back or inside, you're going to find an ad for Army of Darkness. So yeah, that was
if
the
there
first.
was ever a movie poster designed to be splashed in a comic book.
That's the truth.
You could accidentally think Army of Darkness was a Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah.
Was that a Drew Struzan illustration? Does anyone know?
I do not know.
Probably off the top of my head.
Do not. But yeah, so the first time I'd watched anything related to Evil Dead was Army of Darkness. And then when I found out, as many other people did, that, oh my goodness, this is the third in a film trilogy. And then I found out it was the third of Evil Dead. I can remember going into the video store and seeing the VHS covers of Evil Dead and being frightened, like, I'll never watch anything like this, ever.
No, I love the Lord, not this demonic stuff.
I was frightened.
Your stepdad would never let you watch things like that.
No, I'd have to sneak that in. I don't even know how I got. Yeah, but yeah. So at some point, I think like when I was 14 or 15, maybe 16 years old. We got a membership, and I was able to pick up Evil Dead 1 and proceeded to get traumatized, and then Evil Dead 2. Obviously, there's a lot. It's so over the top that you can't do anything but laugh. It's probably one of the first horror movies that I felt comfortable laughing at,
Oh yeah.
And then, like I said, I
Splatstick.
Oh yes, absolutely.
I still remember introducing my kid's sister to that, and her biggest takeaway was that Ash got covered with red liquid, then black liquid, then green liquid, then and I remember her talking to our parents like the next day, like, and then he gets covered in black stuff, and then he gets covered in green. It's just like, it was so cute.
It's like being on, you can't do that on television, only if
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. So
then he gets into a long-winded debate with the taxidermy deer head.
I cannot wait. My daughter right now is looking for horror movies to watch. And I was like, look, I am in the middle of watching these seasons of Ash versus Evil Dead. You must go ahead. And, she's already she's watched Terrifier 1 and Terrifier 2. I don't think she's going to be traumatized like I was when it comes to Evil Dead.
God.
Dude, if she's getting through the Terrifier series and like...
I was like, if she's getting through the Terrifier series and not pissing herself in fear, this child can handle anything.
I was going to be between her and Lurch, man. Now you have two kids that can whoop your ass.
That's the truth. But anyway, so I was excited for the first season. I watched the first season. I was just looking at TV time, and I started it in 2017, and I got all the way to the third episode of the second season before I stopped. So it must have been airing on either Netflix or something like that, to where I was able to get a hold of it and watch it a couple years after it released. So I wasn't watching it contemporarily, but I stopped.
I think it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Was it? Mm-hmm. So I stopped in September of 2017, apparently, and I wanted to always go back to it. So I think when you guys threw this out there, that's why I jumped on the opportunity, because I wanted to watch it and talk about it.
Let's not revisit the history of how this made it to the schedule, please. I don't want to be here for 8 hours.
Well, let me just tell you, I sent messages to Alexis first. I was like, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it on night, because I didn't think Mark was going to have the nuts to actually watch something like this. I thought he would be like, oh, gag and everything. There's got to be a few gag moments, right? Have you hit a gag moment in these?
No,
because
at this point, I tell you, this is my first comment about the series.
Just wait, hang on, Mark.
Yeah.
There's one in the third. I'm not expecting you to gag. I'm not expecting you to gag.
Yeah.
There is one sequence in the third that's gonna make you do the icky face.
Okay, I will say this. So two things. One, and I'll invite commentary on this quickly if you guys want. I don't want to be an host Nazi, but Sam Raimi, I don't know if this is like a fixation that developed out of early childhood that he now expresses as a director, or a fetish, or mental illness, Yes, all of the above, but that man likes to throw gook at the camera. He is just like this. I have this just every episode is just
Well, that's the title
gook,
sequence.
gook,
I mean,
liquid, just crap constantly flying everywhere.
Literal crap in one episode.
It's
Yeah.
literal crap in
boy.
one episode. Like, there's not a single solitary episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead where they are not throwing gobs and gobs, gallons of chunky soup at the camera in every direction. I mean, poor Dana DeLorenzo. Like, I don't know what kind of work she got before this, but you know, she's like, "Oh, I'm so happy to get this series. I get to work with the legendary Bruce Campbell, Sam Raimi. What an amazing every episode. It looks like horror bukkake. This poor woman." This poor woman.
In fairness, she is not the only one who gets splattered and covered in.
oh yeah.
And every episode,
Nobody's safe.
because like at the end of the
Ash gets it in every episode.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
But
I gotta-
Bruce, hang on. Bruce Campbell knew what the fuck he was signing up for. This poor dame. Go ahead, Alexis.
I was gonna say, what do we like for a phrase now? Horror bukkake or splatter gore?
Yes. Horror bukkake
Interchangeable, I guess.
Horror bukkake is going on a t-shirt.
That's what I wanted to know.
All right. So speaking of horror bukkake, let's get into season 2. When we last left our heroes, they had made a deal with Ruby. Ruby said, "I will take the Necrocomicon. I will control the evil. I will keep things at a level pace, and I will let you be free to live your life in Jacksonville." And while the other two characters there, who are obviously Pablo and Kelly.
Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo. I don't want to be scolded again. Anyway, so by
in
Daddy
fairness,
in the corner who gets mad at me when I fuck up names.
This is one of the look, man. You're the host. Knowing the names of the characters is one of the few things you're really supposed to do.
That's not an unfair criticism. I'm not going to do it, but that's fine. Anyway, so yeah, Pablo and Kelly were like, "Yogi, I don't think this is going to work out well." And he's like, "It'll be fine." And then, you know, ominous lightning and whatnot. So we pick up, and it's not too long before nonsense starts again. Rupee's children are running amok. For whatever reason, I don't remember why, but they end up having to go to Ash's town that he grew up in, where we meet his father. And this is the best stuff of the series, and we'll start the conversation here.
So far, there's a whole subplot in season 3 that I think is better than this, but
Okay, so far that's fair. I love the stuff with Ash and his dad and I want to talk about this. I'm going to set this up, and then I'll throw it out for you guys to bat around. You know, we as the audience watch Evil Dead, and we know that he was attacked by zombies, and we know that his friends were all turned into zombies, and he had to kill them, and that he was not a crazed murderer. Except that sounds like an insane story, and if you weren't there, you would assume he's just nuts. And what Ash vs. Evil Dead Season 2 deals with is the burden placed on those who love you when you do something insane. And it's fine that, again, we're with him. We know he was trying to save himself and everybody else at the time. But again, nobody else knew that. So everyone just assumes he's a murderer. And not only that he's a murderer, that he killed his sister. And so here we have this beleaguered father whose son has not only abandoned him, but apparently turned into an axe murderer. And his daughter's dead, and his wife left him. And he doesn't understand what he did wrong or why any of this happened, and he can't get his son to talk to him to explain what the fuck happened here.
And in fairness, he was the kind of father beforehand that led to someone like Ash. So he's not exactly the most.
He's not really in touch with his feelings. I get it.
Yeah,
now
I was gonna say, anytime anyone meets, it was like, "Oh, you are so definitely Ash's father."
Yeah, we'll
Lee
talk about
Majors. The casting of Lee Majors in that role is one of those bits of perfect. Like,
yeah,
you
it was
couldn't
really
have done that
kismet.
any better.
We'll talk about the two of them in the bar with the bull and Jillies, and they bust their face. It's a Cosby reference. Anyway, but I want to end my point with this.
Yeah, there's enough ketamine in this season to warrant a Cosby reference.
But also how this affected the town, and how in turn the town's reaction to Ash affected his father. And for a goofy horror comedy that spends most of its time horror bukkaking the entire cast and the camera and passerbys and local wildlife, they did an excellent job of dealing with the kind of psychodynamic factors of what happens when one of us goes plumb crazy. How does that affect your loved ones and the town at large? And then in turn, how does that affect you? I mean, Ash left, didn't try to stick up for himself, which is a big point of contention in the show. Doesn't try to stick up for himself, just ups and leaves, thereby doubling down on the idea that he killed all of these people and made a run for it. So, who's got a burning desire here? Just kind of wants to jump in.
Can we at least acknowledge the humor of the whole? Oh, it's a mechanical hand. I'm better, stronger, faster.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was funny.
Good one. Yeah. Good one.
Yeah, I was glad actually that they brought attention to that one of the people that Ash killed was his sister, solely because many Evil Dead fans don't like to talk about the first movie. We talk about Evil Dead 2 and we talk Army of Darkness, but very few people acknowledge the first film because Evil Dead 2 was kind of a reboot, sort of a halfway sequel. I actually don't know what you'd call it. There's a term for it. I don't know what it is.
It's what happens when the rights to the first movie are in dispute and you make a sequel.
I think the new made-up stupid word is requel.
Yeah.
Requel.
That's about right.
It's a stupid word, but we can make it work.
Another example of a requel for people like, wait, what's a requel? So you had, El Mariachi, which was a low-budget movie about a mariachi who goes on a revenge tour and he carries machine guns in his guitar case. And then Robert Rodriguez did so well with it and the movie was so well received, he actually got a budget and basically remade El Mariachi as Desperado. It expanded on it, but it was essentially the same plot as El Mariachi. And then I don't know what the fuck he did with Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but I have
a lot of fun.
But I have to ask Jesse, are you a Mexican or a Mexican?
Can't.
Best
I'm a
line
Mexican.
dialogue ever. All right.
William Dafoe as a Mexican drug lord was a choice.
Anyway, back to Ash versus Evil Dead and the whole dynamic with the father and that whole plot line. Alexis, you were talking.
Well, like I said, it's because of that, I thought it was an interesting option that they were focused on that because a lot of people, again, pretend that the first Evil Dead movie doesn't exist. So they only know that Ash killed Linda, his girlfriend. I hate to say it, I was actually getting confused because now we have the new interesting Linda, and I actually had to double back in my notes going, wait a minute, am I now getting they named both of them?
She's so much better in this than she was in Picard. Like, I feel bad. Yeah. I feel bad because that actress, the actress who plays Linda, got tossed a lot of albatrosses for her part in Picard, and it's not her fault. They gave her garbage to work with in a shit show.
Seasons 1 and 2 of Picard are unwatchable, and it's nothing to do with the talent.
And I reviewed all three of them.
And it's nothing to do with the talent of the cast.
Right.
Nothing to do with the cast.
No, that was all writing. But my point is, like, she's a really good actress, and she does great in this show. It's like when you give her good stuff to work with, she's great. And I feel bad for how she got treated by fans because she was in a shit show like Picard. Back to you, Alexis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but you do bring up a really good point. I mean, what Ash did, it's not just like he killed his all those other teenagers or college students. I don't know how old they were supposed to be in the first film. It's practically entered urban legend in Elk Grove. Mm-hmm. We have the ashy slashy children's rhyme that tips Ash off that something's going on in his hometown. We have when the kids steal the Delta, they actually it's like you stole Ashy Slashy's car. Oh, that's just like a myth or whatever. You know, it is entered to the point where it's just a legend in this town.
It's a Candyman or Freddy. It's like we're so many years removed from the original event. Now people just think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill my dog if he doesn't stop barking. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Jesse. Jesse, what did you think of the stuff between Lee Majors and Bruce Campbell, and sort of the that whole family dynamic, and dealing with Ash's perfectly explainable behavior in the Evil Dead movies, but to the greater world, just
I was going to say, like, how are you going to explain that to anybody?
Right,
and them take you seriously?
Well, you see, there's this evil book.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
And that's what is cool about this. One of the best parts of this season is as we get in the later episodes, that kind of pays off, because he wants, he goes back and there's no way for him to try and tell somebody what happened, and they expect them to believe him at all.
Right.
It is, Lee Majors as his dad, Brock Williams. Yeah. The apple does not. Apple does not fall far from the tree, and it's such good casting, and he just doesn't care. He even though Ash is back, it's like he hates him for what he supposedly had done. I mean, he killed his daughter, for crying out loud, his own sister. But okay, well, you can go ahead and go on upstairs. We'll want you out of here later, because I got to get laid. It's like, okay.
I mean, right, so I can sympathize.
I'm sure you could, sir. But yeah,
but
so
when he throws Ash out of the house for that is not the same as you kicking your 8-year-old out of the house.
Joe, just go play in the yard.
But you mean the street? Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's cool to see him go back home, which I don't know if Elk Grove was ever part of the movies in any way. It was never mentioned as far as I know. So we kind of give our hero sort of an origin. And that's one thing that, Ash has always just been Ash Williams. We see how he evolves from when he goes to the cabin forward, and we don't really get a whole lot about his past. And there's even moments in this season where they're like going to explain something about his past. Brock says a couple things. He's like, I just want to let you know. And then we never find out, which I think is
You do in season 3, but
all right.
Let me tell you how I had.
Side note: no spoilers for season 3. I actually haven't watched it yet.
I will not mention specifics. I'm just saying that bit when he does I've got something to tell you. I have something so shocking.
That's what I was getting to. So I had a flashback to our first podcast where we talked about how heroes can never win, to the point where I had to cut that for the TikTok, because as soon as so like it's this really great moment, the whole episode, they're trying to bait a trap
that is the dumbest episode. But look, Ash loses his car, gets stolen,
right?
And okay, how am I going to find my car? Well, if I throw a party, the drunken teenagers will show up, and they might show up. So let me get Ted Raimi, and we'll whip up fruit punch laced with more ketamine than you could possibly ever use. And I mean, Kelly takes a drink of this stuff and goes, well, there's so much sugar, it's making my teeth hurt. And there's the drugs.
There we go.
And it's like, I my tug of them. Yeah.
So they have this. So it's really funny because they do this bit with the mechanical bull where, it's basically like a dick measuring contest between the father and son, as you do. And, Bruce Campbell's like, I'm younger and I can handle this, and I'm the party guy, and this is easy, and you're an old man and you should get out of here. You're queer in my year.
You're the old man at the cool young party, and you're ruining the vibe. And
right.
Meanwhile, Kelly and Pablo just look at each other like, yep.
It's like, speaking of old. So he does the bit with the mechanical bull, gets thrown off. And then Lee Majors shows him up, and goes home with a pretty blonde deadite, as we'll find out.
But goes to the bathroom.
Yeah. And so at the very end of the episode, the Deadites show up. We're killing zombies. This another hero moment for Bruce Campbell, and Lee Majors gets to see him do it. And he's like, "Oh my God, I've totally misjudged you. This whole town has." That's like a big thing with the season, because they do a lot of that with the sheriff. Like, oh my God, now it's suddenly very clear to me, and I'm sorry, son, that we've lost all this time together, and there's something very important I have to tell you. And he gets hit by the car.
Splat.
And I was just like,
twice.
I had three visceral reactions this entire season. That was one of them. Where I was like, Mother! I was like doing laundry at the time. I was like, the fuck? I threw my pants in the air, not like normal, like this, and angry.
Freaking eyeball is stuck in the freaking grill of the Delta because the Delta is turned into Christine's inbred cousin.
That's good, Alexis. Well done.
The fact that it runs over his dead body again at the start of the next episode when it's escaping is just...
Yes.
That's good shit. So I'll throw it over to you, Robert. Your thoughts on how they, and then we'll move on to the next plot point. How they handle the relationship between Bruce Campbell and Lee Majors and the town at large.
It's really good. Lee Majors was once again inspired casting for that, and his dynamic with Bruce Campbell is exactly what you need. Like, if you're going to introduce someone's parents, especially when they're as old as Ash is, it needs to make sense. Like, how do you get someone like Ash does not spring up out of nothing? No one does. Like, there's parenting here.
Mm-hmm.
So what So what kind of a father are you if your kid winds up like Ash? And then we meet Brock, and yep, every bit of that clicks. So he's not only well written, it's very well realized by Lee Majors. And their dialogue is very quick. I mean, the fact it's been mentioned before, these are only 30-minute episodes.
I like how Brock kept going back to the same thing. He was like, why don't you take some responsibility for yourself? It's always somebody else's fault. You're always blaming things. Now you're telling me about zombies. For once in your life, why don't you grow up and be a man? And it's, from, like, what was it? The show was 2012 or something like that. I remember it was from a while ago from our first conversation. But, like, I can honestly see people struggling. Like, you and I have talked about how a lot of stuff that we know to be true growing up as men from, born in the late 70s, early 80s, and a woman. But like there are certain ways of being, certain aspects of personality and development and morality that we know are universally true that people today struggle with and would argue with and, or would call it toxic or something. And so when Brock's like, why don't you take responsibility for yourself? There's a part of me that thinks the writers purposely wrote that thinking people will take Brock as the bad guy in those moments. Like he's being really even in context, he's being really unfair to Ash. And I'm listening to that and I'm like, if you don't know that he really killed zombies, he's not wrong to say those things. And I think that's what makes the writing that much more sharp.
There's a really nice bit of so you and I have talked on occasion about the episode of The Simpsons where Frank Grimes shows up.
Right, yeah.
And fundamentally the question at hand there is, so what if this perfectly normal guy suddenly has to deal with the reality of Homer Simpson and just Springfield at large?
Right.
Because and
a world full of personality disordered people who don't take responsibility for themselves and blame everybody else for their problems.
Yeah, the line holds true. In any other country, you would have been locked up.
And with this one, they sort of just took the bit about, okay, we all know what's really going on here, but what does this look like from the outside? And let's play with that.
Yeah.
It's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Ash and Brock constantly having bits of friction until they don't, at which point Brock dies.
And I'm screaming at Tom King.
But it still maintains with Ash and the whole town, and that kind of plays through most of the rest of the season.
I will say this. It's not that big of a town, and let me tell you, when zombies attack, word will spread. So the fact that we're still playing with it 3-4 episodes later to the point where the sheriff,
hang on,
where it has to happen directly in front of the sheriff for him to buy it. Like I will buy that only because the sheriff hates Ash so much, and Ash keeps making passes at his wife. And so it's like I'll believe any story you tell me at this point just because I hate you so much.
Hang on. You are somewhat misremembering the scene at the bar.
Okay.
Let me tell you what this looks like from the outside.
Here we go. I was about to say this.
So if you're at this party, right?
Yeah.
You see Brock and a 20-year-old girl go into the bathroom.
Right.
And at which point you go, okay, gross, but whatever.
Well,
Then Ash follows. And about 2 minutes later, Ash comes out covered in blood, wielding the girl's head. Nobody else saw her turn into a Deadite.
Right, sure.
I just love that Ash didn't think to draw. He literally comes out like, "Oh, calm down! It's a zombie head." It's like,
Yeah.
Right.
It's like Ash, perspective, dude, perspective.
So the point being there, everyone else just sees, oh, it's Ashy Slashy. The legend is true.
Right.
So when everyone gangs up to try to lynch him, and they all try to storm the house,
Mm-hmm.
they're all still very clearly operating. The only other people who saw anything weird are the people locked in the jailhouse in the police station with Ash. So that's Ash, Pablo, Kelly, Ruby, the sheriff, and a couple of dead people.
Right.
There's nobody else out of there that comes out of that alive.
I hear you, and it's not worth arguing about. I feel like realistically, the word would have gotten out that there's a zombie outbreak well before.
Was that followed up with, or was that following it after the word got out that a bunch of pink fuck was available at this bar? Because ketamine was at this bar, and I'm sure that they probably saw zombies last week too.
And yeah, and that's like, you're right that if that attack had happened in the bar, it would be utterly stupid. The fact that they do write enough of an out for the only people who saw her turn evil were Ash and Brock, and Ash killed her, and then Brock gets run over before he can advocate for his son in any sort of meaningful capacity.
Right.
And then we get the side plot with the evil car where the sheriff's daughter is kidnapped, more or less, by the car.
And the other boys are all dead.
And yeah, a bunch of other people wind up dead. So ultimately what you get, even before Ball shows up, and we'll get to Ball in a second, I assume.
Yeah.
Ash rolls into town after decades away. And suddenly
Everyone's dying.
people start dropping dead violently.
I absolutely get it. I understand. That's why I'm not really fighting you on it. I'm going to throw this out there. At some point, at some point, it felt like they were really trying hard to make the sheriff like hang on to he's a murderer because that's what they needed the sheriff to do. But on the other hand, Alexis and I were having a conversation before this podcast started about how people on a certain political side of the fence think that, you know, the government's going to take their house and won't give them aid and such because because a public figure said so. So I take back everything I just said. People are dumb. You're right, Robert.
Look, after everyone sees the deadite Cheryl, not his girlfriend, it's Cheryl. And he kills her after everyone sees what's going on. Then word spreads to the whole town, and then everyone winds up embracing him as a hero by the end of it.
Right, sure. Yeah, he gets his just desserts at the end. All right, I want to move on to the inclusion of Ruby as part of like the main cast. She's now part of this group. You know, she's part of the mystery machine.
Don't make me say it. I'll say it if you make me say it.
Say it.
She becomes one of the ghost beaters.
Ghost beater.
Perfect. Okay, good pickup. She gives up her. There's something about Go ahead.
Hang on. Her children steal her immortality when they rebel against her.
Right.
That's one of the things we see at the very beginning is they take something from her. It's her ability to regenerate, not age.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So that's gone. And at this point, she's like, oh, my children are out of control. I'm in over my head.
Yeah.
So she sends the Deadites to lure Ash to the point where they can have a conversation and try to figure this out. And yet Ruby joining the side of the good guys was an interesting call, and ultimately I think one that worked out fairly well.
It's funny, like her, Katie Sackhoff, and a couple of other people who, you know, were really made their bones in like television and in some long running but not great television. I wasn't quite sure what to make of Lucy Lawless in this show, and they don't use her enough in the first season for me to care enough. But here she's a main cast member, and the best stuff with Ruby is actually her relationship to Kelly. And the worst part about that is they give Kelly a great arc, and then it don't pay it off at the end.
Okay, once again, no spoilers. That does sort of continue into season 3. Not paying it off, but her arc.
That's fine. If the world had ended at the end of season 2, they wrote her a great arc that doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
which annoyed the piss out of me. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But I want to stick with Lucy Lawless. Alexis, I liked Lucy Lawless's inclusion. I think she has some great chemistry and antagonism with Bruce Campbell. I think there needed to be, because Pablo and Kelly are kind of just following Ash, and they are reacting to what's going on around them and sometimes victims of it. There needed to be another adult in the room, essentially. Like, now we have mommy. Okay, we had dad, we had the two kids, and that was one dynamic. Now we have mommy, and she kind of balances things out. So I think Lucy Lawless's character lends a lot of balance to that group, and I think her inclusion in this series was really, really strong. What did you think of Lucy Lawless's character this season?
Well, I do love that in between losing control of her children, she had time to get a brand new hair color. Sorry.
It actually becomes relevant later in the season. It
does. It does. I think that
Welcome to our season 2 review of Ash versus Evil Dead. Watch season 3. Plugs.
No, hang on. It becomes relevant in season 2 when it takes Ash a minute to realize, oh, you're 80s Ruby, not my Ruby.
Yeah,
no, I got that.
Yeah, because you have the Diane Sawyer haircut and the massive shoulder pads.
All right, keep going.
No, Ruby becomes the exposition dump. She becomes the group's knowledge. Anytime something happens that they don't understand, she's the one who knows what's going on. So she is there.
When Pablo's turning into a book, they need someone to explain what's going on, because what the fuck is Ash going to say?
Yeah, exactly. So, someone has to be there to move the plot along and explain what's going on, because Ash obviously is a freaking idiot. Kelly is in over her head. And yeah, Pablo's turning into a goddamn book. Someone has got to be in there to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
So, she does have great chemistry. I'm glad that they brought her back. I love her sarcastic banter back and forth with Ash, and then with Brock. I just love how he tries to hit on her, and that whole like the up the nose thing. I was like, damn, I actually
when they separate and Ash comes over and goes, "What happened?" Like, I don't know. She was waving me in like an air traffic controller. It's
Dance.
If Ash wasn't your spirit animal, Mark, it would be Brock.
Brock.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. So I see a lot of myself in both characters.
No, she's fun, and like I said, she does work really well with the other characters. She does have good. You're right. She does have really good chemistry with Kelly. I do agree that I thought that was building up to something a little bit more. I was wrong.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I do like having her interact more with the team.
Jesse, like I said, one of the things I really liked about Lucy Lawless in this season is she's kind of there as like a mentor figure to Kelly. She was just like, Kelly, why are you? I'm going to throw this out there in addition to what we're talking about. Feel free to pick at it if you want, or Robert will when it gets to him. But this show does a really, really good job of writing. Men are not always the smartest people in the world. And, in a world where we're struggling to write good, strong women that don't annoy the piss out of everyone around them, this show got it right. Because she's saying, like, you don't necessarily have to follow him. He doesn't make a lot of great decisions. It's amazing you're still alive after all this. Like, can he punch a zombie in the face and chop their head off? Absolutely. No argument there. But he keeps coming up with plans, which it's only by sheer luck that they work out. You don't have to keep following him. You can be your own person. You can follow your own adventure and heart. Why don't you do that? And Kelly kind of has to wrestle with her loyalty to Ash versus her need to be her own woman. And I actually think it's a very well-written arc for Kelly that in no way fucking pays off at the end, as she opts to not do that and die alongside Ash, essentially. But, so your thoughts are, I kind of threw a couple of different things out there.
Well, yeah. So as far as Kelly goes, and actually, the relationship with Ruby there, I got the sense that it was like we were, and this could be way off base, but I felt like they were kind of showing us like there could be a successor to Ash here.
Yeah.
Somebody that actually has their shit together or possibly may have their shit together and could actually fight.
Like
just in case.
Like Lara Croft Tomb Raider, but vampire hunter.
Right. Just in case Ash ends up actually making a bad mistake and ends up dead. But yeah, you watch her go through some hell though. I mean, what was it? Episode 2 of season 1, or maybe it's the first episode, her parents are killed like right in front of her. And that breaks her. And that's the one thing I got with Kelly's character. She broke like within an episode after that. And of course, being possessed, that kind of helps, But she broke at that point, and all of a sudden she decided to take ownership of what she was doing. And she's still kind of working her way there. And Ruby is kind of assisting her a little bit. Like, yeah, look, you are a strong person. You are somebody that can get shit done. So yeah, watching her go through what seemed to be, and I wouldn't say extremely timid, but she's definitely a lot more badass than she was in the first season.
Yeah.
She's opening fire on a group of civilians at one point. She continues to.
I mean, the inclusion of the line, "Get me closer and I will fuck your face with bullets."
Right.
That's on my next greeting card. Merry Christmas. I want to fuck your face with bullets. Love, Mark.
I'll design those cards for you.
Thank you. So keep going, Jess.
Oh well,
we'll acknowledge the new guest in a moment.
Well, who is that down there? Okay, I won't look. But yeah, so there you go. But yeah, as far as Ruby goes, she's there just like Alexis said to kind of help me along, and also kind of maybe supply some pieces of that puzzle of Ash's past, maybe. And as we get towards the end, it's getting more interesting with her, and especially at the end of this series, it feels like she's definitely going to be a major player, I would assume, continuing on. So,
all right. Robert, your thoughts on Ruby and Kelly and Ruby at all?
Max and Ruby, the children's show, which nobody probably gets that
Ruby
at all.
Tuesdays, whatever you like.
Is that even still a thing? Do those still exist?
Not
Max
many,
and Ruby?
No,
Ruby
Tuesdays.
I'm
I
pretty
got them all on DVD back here.
I'm pretty sure the pandemic killed most of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Now, I think they all eventually turned into a chrysalis, and then they emerged as Applebee's or Chili's.
Yes.
I think they got bought up by somebody else in the giant food conglomeration. Yeah, I don't dislike Kelly's arc here, like you mentioned. I agree with you that it doesn't quite have the closest thing it gets to a major payoff is when Kelly has to talk with Linda when they're in the sanatorium and is like, okay, I know your whole family just died, and believe me, I understand your pain. And that's kind of the moment when she steps more into a position of prominence, like narratively. She's kind of got the I'm the gun-toting person in this. Ash has his weaponry, but Kelly's the one who's like, okay, I've got all the guns, and I'm going to go through every bit of ammunition that I can. That's a bit more kind of the archetype she fulfills. And seeing her be more tapping into some of her past pain and using that to be somewhat inspiring to someone else going through essentially the same thing that she did. That's kind of that is functionally the payoff that we get in this season, and it's not the best payoff to how they set it up, but it also again kind of gets complicated once the time travel is introduced. But we'll get to that.
Dorian, do you want to keep futzing with your camera, or would you like to join the conversation? So,
is his audio working?
Yeah, it seemed like there was an issue.
Moving on from this, he will kind of run in with a chair when he's ready. So, you brought up Ball earlier. I do want to talk about that. Ball was responsible for the one cringe moment I did have in the show. You were like, does Mark, was Mark in his weak stomach ever have kind of those moments?
Now I'm trying to guess what it is, but go ahead.
The first time he does the skin split with the nail, because there were certain puncture wounds that I can deal with, and then there's some that I struggle with. The sound of it, it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. Someone being sliced open like that, especially when they ADR the sound to make it more prominent, to make it sound like something is being carved.
That's good.
When he carves down the back of the lady cops.
Oh yeah, that raw. Yeah,
That comes off.
Yeah, and then that that moist clumping sound as all of her skin falls off.
Good stuff.
Moist towel.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Hello.
It
Coming in
works.
clear, sir.
Dorian.
All right.
I can hear you.
For those of you on audio, Dorian Price has joined us finally. How you doing, Dorian?
Not too bad. I come from you from lands unknown.
Perfect.
Okay.
We're talking about
I just got to say, Dorian, is that how you spell the at Frikey Pictures, or did you change the at thing? Because
No, that was me. That was me handling it at like Mach 9 speed.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're talking about Ball, and Ball was responsible for my one gross out moment of the entire show.
Right.
They introduce him about midway through the first half of the season deals with getting the book and then disposing of the book finally, so that all of this will finally end.
Yeah, they throw it into the trunk of the Delta. After that becomes a portal to hell.
Yes, they send the book to hell, which somehow then opens up the ability for Ball to emerge among the
Part of what the Necronomicon does is function as the gateway between the two dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So with it gone, it's a little bit easier to pass back and forth. And
so then he shows up, and we're doing body snatching stuff for a lot of the next couple episodes.
we get our traditional episode that's a play on the thing.
And only because I was maybe half watching it, or it wasn't well said. This was one of my negative issues of the show. And I'm going to throw it to you first, Robert, and then Dorian. I'll get you into the conversation. I don't quite understand what Ball's motivations were or what his plan was.
The motivation here is based around the fact that Ruby and Ash killed their children, because he's the father of Ruby's children.
Okay, that much I got.
And part of the goal is unleash hell on Earth. So my spawn will be here and do that. And when they turn on Ruby and Ruby kills them all, he's like, okay, look, we had a deal, Ruby.
Okay. So this is so he's back for revenge. Once the door was easier to get back to the mortal plane, he was like, now is my opportunity.
A little bit of revenge, little bit of I'm evil and I wish to make everything worse.
Little bit of I look like Brad Dourif, so I'm obviously going to be a bad guy.
A little bit.
So yeah, he is played by Joel Toback. He's all right. His superpower I think is interesting, and it definitely made for some lively television. But outside of that, Dorian, Ball's kind of a meh character for me. What did you think of Ball this season?
I have to agree. It seemed like it was trying to take the place of a almost, I would say, Criminal Minds style. We've kind of done the Monster of the Week a little bit for a while, even though Ash vs. Evil Dead is more focused. This felt like the villain in most of the Criminal Minds episodes, where it's like, okay, we've been kind of hopping around between monsters for a while, so we're going to have an arcing villain for 6 or 7 episodes that we're really going to focus on. And even Criminal Minds is guilty of this. There were times that they fleshed out those villains in Criminal Minds sense, like the Reaper. And then there were times that they'd go, hey, we got a big actor to play this role, so strap in. It's going to be fun. And again, I think his whole plan in this is that with Ash being the promised one, it's like, I must kill the promised one so the prophecy does not come true, and I have just become a D&D bad guy.
Let me tell you, Jesse and I, and to a lesser extent, Robert and I, and sometimes Jesse, Robert and I, as the wise men, have reviewed a lot of television over the years. And Jesse, tell me I'm wrong, but really tell me I'm right. Ball reminds you of like every villain we ever talked about in a TV show we reviewed, where it's the villain for the entire season. And it kind of reminded me of some of the stuff we talked about with Lock and Key, Robert, where it's like the villain can never do enough of what he needs to do in any singular episode, or the series will be over. Like, they have to stretch things out. They have to dedicate entire episodes to one iota of an idea, like the whole episode that's in Ash's head, in the insane asylum. all of
Can
that.
I just tell you how much I enjoy that episode?
Oh, it's a great
Did you
episode.
really?
I'm not complaining about it. It's a great episode. Oh wait, hang on. Let's take a minute then, Jesse. Tell me about it. What's wrong with the Insane Asylum episode?
It was extremely typical. What are you doing over there, Robert? Stop it.
I would say, are you raising your hand or are you making fun of
Yeah, I
Jesse?
don't know what he's doing.
No,
I didn't bring my puppet. Otherwise, it would be here.
I will say this. As someone who regularly works horror conventions, I am pissed that I have never seen a crafter trying to make it sell Little Ash puppets.
You were saying
should.
Really? Well, I felt like this is a typical thing. I was like, I know that this isn't real.
Right.
I know this is all in his head. I know where we're going with this. It just felt like it was kind of filler, but you're right. It was more like the whole villain's power is to get in your head and mess with you. And we Robert mentioned the Thing episode that we had, and now we have this very much like all of a sudden I'm thinking of Joss Whedon and Buffy, and I'm thinking of Angel as well with the puppets, which was interesting because it kind of combined those two. If you know those.
Hang on, if you've never seen the puppet the puppet/Muppet episode of Angel, do yourself a favor, look it up. It's tremendous.
Absolutely.
I want to be clear about something to everybody on this podcast, and I've never been more serious about anything in my entire life. I'm not a 17-year-old girl. I didn't watch Buffy or Angel.
Jesse, that's where I come in. Talk to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, 17-year-old girl, Dorian Price.
I like
Harley Quinn wig.
My cousin, that was her March to the Altar wedding song, was the Buffy theme.
The Buffy theme?
Oh my
Hang
God.
on. In all seriousness, Mark, you might actually enjoy Angel. It's a much more serious show than Buffy.
I was on an episode of Angel back in my acting days. I was a kid. I believe.
Oh God, he actually has it. I was only being half serious.
Jesus.
Beautiful.
I was when I was doing extra work years and years ago. I was on an episode of Angel, and I was also what was the other one that was around the same time? Felicity. I was on an episode of Felicity.
Oh,
nice, dude.
Yeah.
Give me those episode things. I want to where's Waldo your ass.
You're not going to see me on camera. You will, however.
I'm sorry.
In an episode of Will and Grace, I'm actually on camera. I'm like low frame, but I'm there. Thursday. Anyway,
for those of you who actually care about entertainment stuff, that is something we in the business will say if one of us is in a movie, especially for crew, and we don't usually get on camera. It's like, yeah, dude, I'm at like episode or season 7, episode 15 of Buffy. I'm actually right behind Giles while he's playing in the coffee shop. Oh man, I'm gonna have to where's Waldo your ass.
Anyway, Jesse.
Well, I felt like the episode was one of those filler type episodes, and we had to showcase the villain's power. I did really like the puppets. I thought that was great, or the puppet battle, I should say, because there's only one puppet in this thing, if I remember right. So I loved that, and I love the fact when Kelly gets into the fight with one, and that was great. But aside from that, I think that was the one episode where I was just like, okay, I know what's going on here. I know what the end result's going to be. We got to get to 10 episodes, throw it in there. That's my only problem with it.
Robert, your thoughts on Ball this season?
Well, because the most of what we get out of Ball actually is present in the 2 episodes basically that take place in the sanatorium. I don't dislike Ball. He's very, again, we've seen these kinds of villains before. He's not the most standout example of this kind, but I don't think he's a bad addition to the roster of villains whose primary ability is to play on your paranoia and kind of induce you into bad things.
That's a very demon thing.
I think one of the issues a lot of people, maybe this is something, and if you guys already said it when I wasn't here, I apologize for retreading. One of the issues that Ball has as a character is, as a big villain, not that Lucy Lawless wasn't in the first season, but for those of us who are Evil Dead fans, we're not used to there being a main villain. The evil is a cloud. It is an entity that will take over your friends and your loved ones, and they will become your villains and what you have to face because it is this overwhelming evil. This show stepped out of the box and went, what if we had a centralized, a hierarchy to the evil that is the Evil Dead? And I think for me, it didn't bug me. But again, I'm the kid. As always, I'm the kid. I come into Evil Dead and I watch them and I love them. You guys were there at it. Do not cite the dark, deep magic to me, which I was there when it was written. Kind of shit. So for me, it didn't bug me, but I really wish they would have kept the silliness of the puppet, but maybe leaned a little bit more Jacob's Ladder with the as an homage with the psychological element inside the mental asylum. I think that would have kind of upped the game a little bit.
I think there's a few things I really like about that episode, and one is it's not uncommon for there to be episodes like this, especially this kind of show where you're like, wait, how much of this was real? How much of this is in your head? And trying to play around with that is always dicey. Because
for more information on this, watch our review on Joker Folie à Deux.
No, don't.
Well,
I said watch the review, not the movie.
What you can run into is the principal and the pauper thing, where you're kind of like punishing the audience for paying attention or for investing and caring in what's going on, to then just kind of yank the rug out from under them. The fact that so much of the Evil Dead franchise is based around rug yanking makes the threat of the threat of them actually going through with no, this is all just in Ash's head, a tiny bit more believable than in other scenarios where, oh no, the protagonist has gone crazy, and we all kind of go, okay. So you watch those episodes of television more for the character work and the acting than for the story.
If you don't know this is season 3, let me tell you how there was a part of me that very much wanted this to be all in Ash's head. Like, I wanted them to pull back and he's just looking at a snow globe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's
you would have made some people pissed off. People would have been mad.
Like, he's looking at a snow globe and then it just cuts to black.
It would have been. There would have been riots. I mean, it would have been crazy.
It was like, you thought it was bad when Dallas pulled this bullshit. You ain't seen nothing yet.
But the fact that
at least it's not like The Sopranos where we cut to black in the middle of a fucking set.
Well, you fucking Alexis, I just made that joke.
Good one.
Go ahead, Robert.
Wow. Well, two references to the last podcast.
A little bit. But the fact that this is the kind of show where you can absolutely understand they might have pulled that trick is what makes it work to a degree. They do a decent job playing around with, at one point Ash sees Kelly and she's just a crazy person also in the asylum. And then,
oh God, all credit in the world to the makeup artist on her. I didn't think that was her.
I didn't realize it was her at first.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that was her at first.
All credit to the makeup artist and the actress because she contort herself and her face in a way that she is unrecognizable.
And then you look back over and it's not her at all. It's somebody else entirely. And some of that is fun to play around with. And by the time you realize the end game here, it's actually a journey worth taking, because by the time we get to the end and Ash is like, okay, yes, I admit it's all in my head. What the payoff for that is ultimately Ball going, okay. And so rewind just a bit. Part of the issue with these episodes of television is the why. Like, what's the end game here? And the end game here is Ball wants to turn Ash into his weapon of destruction.
Right.
Go kill the Necronomicon.
Because it's starting to appear on Pablo, and this is the last thing that can stop me.
Right.
And that plays so gloriously well in the next episode when Ruby and Pablo spend almost all of it running from Ash, and you start to realize, oh, wait. Ash is a scary dude if you're on the other end of what he does.
Oh, sure. So Bruce Campbell is not a small man. That guy is linebacker size. He's tall. He's a meaty man slapping meat. And did I mention he has a chainsaw in his hand?
But hang on, but it's a weird reversal because we're so used to seeing him as the guy killing the Deadites, and he gets kind of his butt kicked along the way.
Yeah, he has very much a Jack Nicholson in The Shining moment.
Yeah, and the fact that his costume is now like the remnants of the straitjacket that's still over his chest.
Right.
It's
Here's
really
Slashy Ashy.
Here's Johnny, late night with Conan. Sorry,
And-
I'm doing the whole Simpsons bit now.
First of all, it's David Letterman.
Yeah, sure.
Then it's the 60 Minutes bit.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
David Letterman. Hi, David. I'm Grandpa.
Hi, Grandpa. No.
Just watch that tonight. We're making our way through all the Treehouse of Horrors. We're on
I'm
number
about to, like,
7.
I'm gonna like binge all of them at some point before Halloween because
Hell yeah.
yes.
Oh, I've
but-
been binging them while I've been working. That has become my go-to background
Start
work.
your wrap
I've-
at this point. Alexis has been waiting an hour and a half to weigh in here, and then we got to talk about those last 2 episodes. Robert.
Oh, so I thought you were moving on.
No, I said start to wrap
Okay.
on that point.
And yeah, then the payoff being again Ash turning evil and our heroes having to deal with Bruce Campbell as the most horrifying slasher villain you could possibly imagine in some respects. Like you could
How
take
could you have
that
got him
version
as
of
Leatherface and some iteration of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Would have been amazing.
yeah, like you could take Bruce Campbell in that getup, drop him in, and this is your new Leatherface, and it works.
Yeah.
Everything about it works.
How has that not been a comic yet? How have we not gotten Ash versus Leatherface?
I don't know. Get on that shit, Jesse. You tell you and the
So-
girlfriend work on that for me.
To let you know, I'm pretty
Oh,
certain he's
shit.
ran into some other big movie monsters. We'll talk about that here in a second. Go ahead and continue, Robert.
And that episode also ends with one of my favorite like pseudo jaw-dropping moments when we dealt with Ball, he's gone, and then Pablo falls bifurcated,
That's a good scene.
and everyone just
Poor
has
guy.
that look of
Poor
like, wait, what?
Pablo.
Wait, what? And then, you know, cut to the oddly appropriate song.
All right, Alexis, your thoughts in 50 words or less on Ball, and then I want to move on to something else.
I feel like they didn't really build him up enough. I understand that he came because he needed to destroy the Necronomicon, and since the physical version was destroyed in the Trunk of the Delta, but now there's a new version that is merging with Pablo, he has come to destroy the version that is etched on Pablo, aka he's got to kill Pablo. But Evil Dead has always just been that the evil dead is a force of nature. It is not so much a person, an entity, a particular bad guy. It has always just been, well, we'll just say this for your benefit, Mark. It's always been a hurricane.
No.
How
So-
dare you trigger my recent trauma?
I don't want to live in the jail anymore.
So I do really like the actor who played him. I'm not gonna lie, I made that Brad Dourif joke specifically because when I first saw him before I IMDb'd it, I was like, holy shit, is that Chucky? Because he looks like Brad Dourif. He really does.
Yeah.
And
The
I thought how
casting call was for a Brad Dourif type because they couldn't get Brad Dourif. So
Mhm.
his non-union Mexican equivalent.
Yes. This was on Starz after all. You know, they don't got like NBC budgets.
I don't know. They got Lucy Lawless and Lee Majors. So
Yes, Lucy Lawless of what was it? Not She-Ra. What the fuck show was she?
Yeah, She-Ra.
Xena.
She-Ra. I
Xena.
clearly remember her being in She-Ra.
Oh, shut up. Xena, Warrior Princess. Yeah, that high quality program with the painted women in Renaissance times.
I did really like the episode in the asylum. It reminded me a lot of the Titans season 1 finale, where you have Trigon putting that illusion into Robin's head.
Yeah.
But what I liked about this, as compared to that, was that they broke the illusion too much in the Titans finale, where you saw Trigon continuing to actually, like, you know, screw with him. You could see him pulling the strings, so to speak.
Yeah.
Here, you do not see any of that. You never see a moment where Dr. Peacock shows up and is like, oh, okay, let's make this a little worse for you or anything. You know, if you just stumbled into the series, you might very well believe that, yeah, Ash has gone crazy. Hell, I even love the reveal in the next episode that it turns out that Linda was actually there. She did say that was not part of the illusion. And I love the reveal that the girl who was screaming at Ash, okay, this girl, I'm assuming was just a junkie hanging out
hanging out in the
Right.
building.
Yeah. Right. And the other guy was just a security guard.
Yep.
You know,
Who
Reg.
got
he
sucked
was
in.
Reg.
All right, I want to talk about the finale episodes. So
Can I throw a quick thing in about Ball? It's just a behind the scenes joke that most of you
Sure.
will have a quick laugh at. Originally, it was not supposed to be cast as a regular actor. Originally, when they planned the season 2 layout with Ball, Sam Raimi was supposed to be Ball.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Would have been interesting.
That
All right.
would have been something.
Did Sam Raimi act?
So we talked about Pablo's bifurcated after disposing of Ball, and Ash is struggling with it. He's doing donuts in the parking lot.
Opening the next episode with them having duct taped Pablo together in the front seat of the Delta as Ash does donuts, getting drunk.
Just drinking.
Doing donuts in the parking lot,
good.
screaming, "I don't give
This
a fuck."
is how I grieve.
Yeah.
This is my process.
That tracked for me.
I had to look over at my wife and go, is he duct taped together? I mean, I had to ask her to tell me.
All right, so
I will also say, let's give credit where credit's due, that they gave Pablo one hell of an awesome scene where he killed Ball, chanting like that, the way he plunged his hands into the eyes, the tattoos going down. That was so cool.
It does look cool. I'll tell you, Pablo. I really struggled with Pablo in the first season because he's a little too femme, a little too moist. A little too soy boy.
I was gonna say he's a little yipper dog who's constantly following you.
And then they fucking vatoed him up the season with the goddamn tattoos of the book all over him, and I'm just like, hey, you look like you hang out with the Latin World Order. I was waiting to come on screen going, "Arriba la raza, orale, ball, we'll send you back to hell," which I would have much preferred. Anyway,
I mean, in fairness, Hoovy in this drug-fueled craze would have fit right in.
It really would have. All right. So anyway, so he figured he remembered that he was in the third Evil Dead movie, Army of Darkness, where he was like, "Oh wait, I time travel." So
well, hang on. If you're not familiar with the why of that, they did not have the rights to even reference Army of Darkness in the first season.
Okay.
Because this is one of those weird things. I mean, you and I, when we reviewed Hannibal, had to do the same thing where they can talk about characters from Red Dragon, but not Silence of the Lambs, because Silence of the Lambs was owned by MGM. This and Red Dragon and Hannibal were done by Universal. So since we're on NBC, this is what we have the rights to. This is what we don't have the rights to. So season 1, they could not reference Army of Darkness at all. That got a little bit sorted out by the time season 2 rolled around, so he could do I went back to the Middle Ages. Then he grabs Lucy Lawless and goes, "Okay, read this passage." And she goes, "No, time travel is dangerous and stupid." And he goes, "Well, I'm gonna floor the car, and we're gonna drive straight, and we're gonna see what happens. If it's up to you now."
I'm gonna go like this, and if you happen to hit you, it's your problem. So anyway, how many Simpsons?
That's what our third Simpsons.
At the very least. Radulich and Broadcasting Network, known for our Simpsons references.
The over-under is that
I have Radulich Simpson bingo.
The over-under is set at 7.5.
All right, I'm going to bet on that. So anyway, so he's like, that's right, I time travel. I won last night, motherfucker. How about that? Suck my dick.
Josh Allen, baby.
My new favorite quarterback, yo.
And you're going to lose on Saturday like you always do.
Probably Thursday. Thursday's the next time I can bet again, son of a bitch. Anyway, so he's like, I can't live without my Pablo. I'm going to time travel, and I'm going to stop myself from reading the Necronomicon. So they do. They go back to the cabin before anything happens, and they are in an alternate timeline where somebody else found the stupid book first.
Well, hang on.
That happens. Go ahead.
They're not in an alternate timeline where somebody else.
I read alternate timeline. I studied for this test, teacher.
Hang on. They create an alternate timeline, but it's not someone else finding the book first. The book was always there with the professor. Right. They're trying to get there before Ash and his friends show up.
No, I get that, but when I was reading this in the plot synopsis, they were like, they go back. Doesn't matter. They go back to the fucking cabin, and there we meet the professor who's trying to get the Deadites out of his wife, and he's got his human sacrifice, and it all goes tits up.
And the real complicating factor is 80s Ruby shows up
with her Diane
and is still evil.
Yes. So fast forward, Ball shows up, and
because Ball was hiding in Pablo's dead body.
I wanted to talk about this because I thought this was interesting. So this whole season has been leading up to Ash versus Ball, Ball versus Ash. This is it. This is our Austin Rock WrestleMania 17 moment here, and we finally have it. And Ash was like, "Okay, you and me in a fair fight, no magic, no purple dragons and stuff, none of that." And so Ball agrees, which is funny because he'll later say, "Why did you think I was going to agree to this? I'm a fucking demon, you asshole."
Yeah, even though they swear by blood.
Yeah. So we get our punchy part, right, Jesse? Now comes the punchy part, and they have a fist fight. Fuck that.
And then Ted Raimi shows up and cuts off Ash's right hand again because it grows. They successfully change the future. Mm-hmm. They alter the past, and Ash's right hand grows back because he now never read from the book and never had to cut it off. And then
here's what I want to get to. This is the point that I want to bring because like. I could ask you guys what did you think of like the whole fighting thing, but that's not interesting to me. What was interesting is Lucy Lawless's Evil Ruby's line about, "Are you kidding me about all this? Like, we have to sit there and watch these two meatheads punch each other, and we're just kind of pawns in their argument." And she's talking to Kelly at the time, kind of playing off the relationship good Ruby had with her the entire season. And she's like, "This is ridiculous. There's too much at stake here, and we're leaving it up to chance between two meatheads punching each other in the face." And so fast forward, something happens. She says something along the lines of, I'm altering the deal. And then at the very end of that whole bit, she's just like, "I'm honoring the deal." And everyone who should go to hell goes to hell, including the whole fucking cabin. Presumably the Necronomicon goes back to hell. And
nope, she's got it.
At the time, it looks like it's going through the floor.
You see her with it at the end of the season.
I know, but at the time, listen to the actual words I said. At the time, you see it go through the floor into the fire, like the Ring of Doom. So then the next thing that happens is Ash finally gets his parade. The town loves him. He's the hero of the day. And we see Ruby at the very end walk away from the crowd. I'm going to go to you first, Dorian, and then Jesse, Alexis, and last Robert, because he interrupted me.
Points deducted.
Oh, the horror.
Shame. Ding. Shame.
I started to read ahead. It's one of the few times I've read ahead to see what was going to happen next, kind of like when we did that one season of Sons of Anarchy. I'm like, oh, God, where is this going? Like, the impression I got, Dorian, was that whole last bit there was bullshit. The world Ash is living in is bullshit. That this is yet another thing where Ruby's like, you can have your fantasy world, and that's what they're living in, Ash's fantasy. It didn't make a tremendous amount of sense to me, especially knowing what I know how the third season's going to start. The thing I liked about it was, the one thing I liked about how we get there, at least, is Ruby saying, and she's saying, talking to Kelly, "This is ridiculous. Why are we standing by and watching this? We can change this. We can do something about it. You don't have to sit there and let the men be dumb. You can take charge. We can take charge. We can change it." Kelly opts not to, which I think is a very weak ending for her in this season. But she does change it. She's just like, "I'm not going to let this happen," and she fucks with it and does stuff. What she ends up doing is where I struggle, but I like that part of it. So those are my thoughts. Your thoughts, sir.
What was the specific question you were asking? Because there's like 12 in there.
The specific question was, do you have thoughts?
Well, I have many thoughts, but what's no, I'm fucking with it. I didn't mind it just because this show, especially season 2, felt like very much a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. I call this season the popcorn movie episode. Or, the popcorn movie season, where it's like the first season, we're, reintroducing you to the world. If you didn't know what Evil Dead, you're going to have to go back and watch some shit. There's homework. This one, it felt like a strap your seat in, grab onto the handlebars, and we're off. It didn't bug me because I knew it was going to get a season 3, because I think they'd already announced that it was getting a season 3, which would be the final season. So I was like, okay, where are we going next? I felt that it was a good chance for Ash to once again be the hero as opposed to the movies where it's like it's not really until Army of Darkness that he gets to kind of be the douchey hero that we know and love.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like there was a return to that in this, where he's just beating the crap out of this guy because he's like, listen, at this point, I started off this very sweet boy who just wanted to give his girlfriend a necklace and maybe get laid, hopefully, cabin in the woods. Here we go. To I'm angry. I've kind of become my dad in a way. And I'm just gonna beat the ever loving shit out of this guy for all the things that he and his kind, you people, have fucked with my life. And so it didn't bug me as much. I enjoyed it because, again, like I said, it felt like a roller coaster, and I was on for the ride. So I knew, like, when I saw the book fall in, I was like, really, we're okay. Because again, it's the old horror trope of like, no, body or it didn't happen.
At this point, I won't believe them when they finally do destroy the book. We're all in the third or fourth iteration of destroying this book already.
So yeah, when she walked away with it at the end, I was like, of course you did, because you must be our continual thorn inside, and ugh. But that was actually my only downside of it, because I enjoyed the rest of it. I was there for the ride.
All right, Jesse, what did you think of the time travel stuff, which I know you love because Back to the Future, but all that finale nonsense, the punchy parts, and then finally, whether or not he's living in his own private paradise?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have Robert explain the ending to me because I have no idea what happened. I know that she talks about altering a deal, and I was like, what is going on? There must have been too much too much was going on for me to actually
It's just the chicken lawyer, and it was too much for you?
I guess so. I just know that she is going to be a problem later on down the line. I kind of figured that. I love the fight. It seemed awful convenient that we, like, hey, how else are you going to get him to fight, though? You can't let Ash fight a demon with all his powers. But again, he's a demon. So he absolutely, he tricked him. So
we just steal from Nightmare on Elm Street and make him Super Freddy, and then they can fight, and it'll be just as ridiculous as half the other shit that happens.
I like it.
They could have stole from Legends of Tomorrow and had him fight. What's it, Lotsa? No, Lotsa's from Toy Story.
You talking about the big bear?
Yeah, what is it? Huggy.
Lotso. Bear.
No, we just open up the in-game portals and fucking John Constantine as Zatanna come out, and Doctor Strange. Is that everyone? And it cuts to David Blaine being like, "You wanted more?"
I think they should have. He should have. I will not fight you because I am magic, but I will send my avatar and its Count Duckula.
What the fuck? Bottle. What are you guys talking about? Stop!
That was my bad.
They're battling to see who can make the most obscure reference, and it's getting weird.
Fucking Count Duckula brains him with the fucking ketchup bottle. He's like, "He glassed me." I don't know why now he's English, but he glassed me.
Yeah, he's not. No, jeez. Yeah, so time travel. References. I'm excited. I was excited when the time travel happened. You guys knew I would. And it was so cool to, Ash just felt so at home. Welcome to the 80s, kids. And it was great to see them try. I was wondering, okay, what are they going to do with this? It felt like to me like the only way that he could possibly get Pablo back is do something like this. So it was neat. And I love it because, number one, many of us came to this franchise through Ash time traveling back into medieval times. Yeah. So this is a callback. Felt familiar.
Yeah, it's a very crowd-pleasing choice. All right, Alexis, what did you think of the finale and all the stuff that we've talked about so far?
I mentioned this before the podcast started. I honestly thought that the final 2 episodes could have been cut. I thought we could have ended with Pablo destroying Ball. Hell, I actually think it could have been interesting if we stopped there, and the time travel is the lead-in for the next season. 3rd season takes place in the 80s as they seek to undo all of this. I think they could have had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
If they you wanted to smash cut the black the minute he got cut in half and go blah.
Mm-hmm.
If they'd had 4 seasons instead of 3, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And it does have one of the biggest plot holes How the hell did they get back to their own time?
That's actually easily explainable if you watch the first season and this season. Because
If
it was
you
in the
say a
script.
wizard did it, so help me God.
No, I said because it was in the script.
So badly. Sorry.
What?
I want to push you in a locker so badly.
Me or him?
Technically, it was explained in the script, Alexis. If you go back,
and I just pulled out another Simpsons.
Actually,
Jesus
There
Christ.
you go.
He's
There it
about to rival Zach for props.
I know he's out of town. Like, is he in a prop warehouse or something?
No, I ended up having to bring a lot of the costume stuff to this job, so that's why the wig and those glasses just happened. Like, again, if you would ask for anything else, like if you brought up rubber chicken, I'd been fucked. But when you did like the push the glasses up thing, I was like, those are literally like a foot from me.
And so it was very much like fake vomit. I've got that. Hang on.
No, I'm serious. I was just like, Ruby's dead. How did
he
she was the only one to do the spell?
He said it's in the script. Just keep going. Like, it doesn't matter. He got back in time.
Okay. And I'm gonna be frank. The ending also was a little lackluster for me because I know I'm probably in the minority here, but for me, the best part of the season was the possession of the Delta. Because if you are a fan of the Sam Raimi films, you know just how much that car was Raimi's car. They used it in the Evil Dead movies because that's what they had. They didn't have the budget for.
I'm pretty sure that car has been in every Sam Raimi movie.
Oh,
it has.
I get the list.
There-
Evil Dead, Crime Wave, Evil Dead 2, Dark Man, Army of Darkness, Simple Plan, The Gift, all three Spider-Men, Drag Me to Hell, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
There is a rumor, and I don't know if this has been confirmed, but there's kind of an urban legend that one of the covered wagons in The Quick and the Dead is over that car. So
Yeah,
it's
listed here too.
It's in all of Sam Raimi's movies.
That's great.
Yeah. So again, it's like if you're a fan of Raimi, you know just how important that car is to him. So to actually make it the bad guy, have it be possessed, it was just so awesome. It's
Have Ash take the chainsaw and just right down through the engine bay.
Oh my God. Like I said, that to me was absolutely perfect. And even the fact that they throw the book in the trunk and they walk away and Ash is literally, it's like it's your arm's off. 'Tis but a scratch. I swear to God, that's all I could think of when he said,
I can buff that out.
Are we still talking about the car?
Yes.
Ugh. So anyway, back to the finale.
Like I said, I thought the finale was kind of lackluster because there was a few too many plot holes. I did enjoy the fight scene. I wanted to know how many of us were going to see Ball and Ash dueling with chainsaws and say, haha, they did it before Nicolas Cage.
They did.
Because I checked the dates.
I'm so bored by fistfights at this point. Like, I honestly, I watched that and I was with Lucy Lawless. Like, why are we doing this? I think it's why that resonated with me so much because the character actually voiced my thoughts as I'm watching this. Like, really? We're gonna end this with a fist fight, huh? Why? And then there's Lucy Lawless and Kelly going, we can do something else. Like, I wanted them to break the fourth wall at that point. All right, Robert, take me home as far as the finale.
I kind of dug it because there's a few decent gags about being back in the 80s. Nothing serious, but enough to they play with it enough for it to be funny, but not enough for it to overstay its welcome. Or for them to have to do too much work as a period piece. I could see the Ball and Ash fight for a very specific reason. And this might be weird, but go with me for just a sec. Ash is the one prophesied to fight evil in the past, present, and future. And no matter what they try to do to that guy, it doesn't work. We've sent waves of deadites at him. Ruby's tried to shoot him multiple times. His car tried to kill him. Ball staged an elaborate psychodrama to convince him that he's insane. And all of the chicanery bounces off of him like he is Oh, what? There's a name for it in
That's
one
why.
of the. Hang on. Okay, there. I forget the series, but there's a fantasy series of books, and there's a character that exists in them who is. They have a name for it. It's not quite God's perfect idiot,
Mm-hmm.
but
No, that's
this
Ryan
character
Reynolds.
is like the supremely untalented one, and they are immune to magic. All magic, it does not work on them. Doesn't matter how powerful it is. Doesn't matter any of that. Something about them, just magic will not work. You could just stab them. You could beat them to death. Like there's any number of ways you can kill them, but they are immune to magic, and because so much of the society is based around magic, they're functionally God. Just the old muscle wizard casts fist joke, right? So Ash is basically immune to all of the Deadite evil nonsense, but you could still kill him in a fair fight. So Ball has this opportunity to deal with this one person who could stop the plots of evil by lowering himself to his level. And you're right, it is, in a lot of respects, it's kind of silly, but what else can you do to Ash? Like, if you have to stop this guy, Ash is the thorn in your side, Mark. You've thrown evil at him. You've thrown time. You fought him across time and space, and it doesn't matter what you do, he chainsaws his way through it. Again, like God's perfect idiot walking through the Rube Goldberg machine. You can't do anything about this. So, all right, I've had enough of you. What's your line about the Joker? He makes the world's greatest detective just punch things.
Yeah.
Ash has now made a very powerful demon based in manipulation, seduction, subtlety, and all that. Just go, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to punch you in the face until you go away. And we've spent enough time at this point to fully empathize with, you know what? I'm going to punch you in the face really hard, Ash. And it's going to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So I could go along with it for that. And some of what Ruby does here to try and get around this, like, no, I'm still smarter than Ash. I'm still going to lean on all of my devious machinations. There's payoff to that in season 3 that continues to be at play. So that all tracks.
You had that runtime.
A little bit, yeah. The big explosion, undoes some of the magic, kind of is willing to send them back in time. The Necronomicon does not actually go through the portal. It's ejected from the explosion. Ruby picks it up, and that's where then 80s Ruby just lives until going back and finding where Ash is at that point. So she'll continue to be a factor in season 3. That shouldn't be a spoiler. She's on the cast list. And Ash getting something of a W fairly earned. I understand your point, Mark, about how, no, there's no way. Yeah, there's kind of a way. And the fact that Ash parlays it into the most Ash Williams thing ever in season 3.
Okay.
Because he stays in Elk Grove, and what he chooses to do there, I don't want to spoil it because
I read ahead, so I assume you're talking about what he's doing for a living.
Yeah, you've all seen
funny.
it. I think I know.
Well, I thought you were
Alexis
referring to his.
so I won't spoil it.
I thought you were referring to his speech about how you're all terrible, but
that too.
It's fine now. Like that. What a great hero speech at the end of this.
It is the perfect Ash Williams speech. They're like, I came back and y'all tried to kill me. You suck.
But fuck y'all, I killed evil.
But I have dealt with evil, and you know what? I'm going to stick around here, and we're going to see what else happens. And it's kind of a good thing he does stick around, because, again, reasons we get to in season 3.
All right, so Jesse, final word here. Anything we left out? Is there any, burning desires before we start to close out?
Burning desires. I have a top 10 moment list.
Oh, you
episode.
never
You
fail
ready?
to disappoint me. You're
There
right.
we go.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have pictures, so Mark's getting a little too overly excited. Hopefully, he's not expecting TV party tonight pictures or anything.
Jesse, when
like
it's just me and you can show me your pictures.
Okay, all right.
I feel like we need a drum roll in the background now.
I don't want to embarrass myself.
Speaking of which,
all right, I'm gonna do this and well, here we go. Hold on.
No, keep doing your thing. I forgot to add something that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were hitting a.
I might just fucking do it. How about that?
I don't know whether to start or continue. What am I supposed to do here?
You should both start and continue.
Stop or continue. Start and continue. Stop. Okay, episode 1.
Okay.
All right.
That's not the seal I wanted, by the way. But I like it enough that I'm going to keep it. It's a different.
Okay, find me the seal you want, and I'll edit that one.
If I can, sure. It's when he's actually making an arf sound when he does it.
Okay. Oh shit! I actually found that one. I think I know it. Anyway, sorry, Jesse. Go ahead.
Jesse.
I will handle editing later.
Is it an animated seal or is it a legit seal?
No, it's an animated seal.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about. I don't know. Was that Maleficent? What the fuck is that?
No, it's the it's the seal.
Yeah, that. Okay.
All right. Well, all right. Number 1, I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible, 50 words or less. Episode 1, my favorite moment is the dancing headless corpse that is slipping on the blood. All right. That's great. And it goes on for just a second too long until it finally falls down. I mean, my gosh, we didn't even talk about the morgue episode. Because
Ash getting pulled up the rectum of the cadaver.
That is okay.
That's on my I didn't make me go like I did with the splitting.
Oh,
but I was also like, this is a bit much for me.
No, but it does give us the
it's not.
best. It gives the best line. There's only room for one asshole in this town. That was awesome.
That's probably
metal.
That line gets this. You can play with buttons.
Definitely.
The fact that is going on at the same time that Kelly punches out the sheriff.
Yes.
Because that old chunky vending machine isn't working.
Oh, it's good stuff.
And then Ash is like, "Oh, I just assaulted a police officer." Ash goes, "Nah, it's okay," and then like pours soda on his crotch. He'll be too embarrassed to admit it ever happened.
It's a good move. Episode 3. I put a note here that the soundtrack to this show is great. I don't think you guys mentioned. I don't know if you guys mentioned that in the first season when you guys did the review, but
really.
I absolutely this is my soundtrack right here. Okay,
I mean,
there's a lot of great stuff in here.
One of these episodes ends with "Let's get physical," like right after or right before a very awkward fight.
It's good stuff. Episode 4, real simple: Ash versus the Delta. Episode 5. Okay, this is subtle, and this is only like one quick moment, but Ash and Linda have this moment in the cell where I think she's finally decided to either leave her husband or something. There's a tender moment, and they decide to walk out of the cell. Ash goes through the door while Linda walks smack dab into the damn jail cell.
Side by side and bonk.
It's like there's no reason for it, but it's damn hilarious.
It's funny.
Yeah. Episode 6, my 2 notes here are, I don't want Chet to die, and then immediately afterward, Chet's dead. I didn't want Chet to die.
That episode has the best callback one of the best callbacks this season when Cheryl turns to Ash and says, "I'm gonna make like a tree and fuck you."
Can we also give credit that they actually got the actress from the original Evil
They
Dead
did.
to come back and
Yeah.
reprise her role?
Absolutely. Episode 7, my note was puppets. I was really excited about that. That was good. Episode 8 was the face full of bedpan that Kelly has to endure. Oh, so disgusting. Episode 9. I mean,
don't be pissed.
I can't remember what the line was.
It was something funny like that.
I
So
just
it's like,
remember-
hey, didn't he say something like people pay good money for this? And something
and
like that.
I've been saying that at work lately. Like somebody says something, and if it's like a moderately fetish innuendo, I'm like, I know where you can get that. You don't have to ask me for it.
Internet. So I mean, every episode seems to ratchet it up. I don't know if you could beat a face full of full bedpan, but Henrietta's breastfeeding in episode 9.
That made me cringe.
I wasn't looking directly at the television. I turned and looked at that and went, nope, and went back to what I was doing.
And then episode 10 is one word, and that's when Ball makes his second appearance or third or whatever out of Pablo, and Ash looks over at him and goes, Bill! And the whole time he continues to call him, he's calling him Bill instead of Ball, which I thought was damn hilarious.
To the point where he says at one point, like, I'm going to kick you in the bills, Ball.
And I think there's even a tease like that Ash's dad, even as a ghost, is going to like reveal this secret again, and then it again gets cut off, because I put that in my notes anyway.
Yeah, his ghost shows up at the end of season 2. Saying anything more than that ventures towards spoiler territory, so I will desist and just say there's stuff in season 3. It gets a little crazy.
All right,
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Let's just applaud the Return of the Jedi homage that we get at the finale.
Right.
Alexis, anything besides the car that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, the season really did ratchet up. I thought it was a lot better. Admittedly, there were a few plot holes. I do feel that some of the writing, they got to a point of, well, how do we move from here to here? Because
there's much more narrative cohesion in season 2 than there was in season 1.
Oh yeah, very much so. Like I said, I really, really wish though that they had cut it at season 8 and we had gotten another season. So season 3 could have been them going back to the 80s to try to undo this and say, Pablo, I thought that could have been a really good season. I did notice that I hate to admit it, I didn't realize this until I luckily paused it. The guy who takes the bottle he gives the bottle of, what is it, whiskey to?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, is the homeless man that we've been seeing in Elk Grove. Ash just put him on his path.
Yep.
Right.
Dorian, we started our conversation tonight with the family dynamics between Bruce Campbell and Lee Majors, so I don't want to go back over that again, but we covered that. We talked about how the best thing about this season, at least for me, was how they deal with the legend of Ash and how it affected the family, how it affected this town, how it in turn, the reaction of the town then affects Ash. So that's all well-worn territory. We covered it before you came on tonight, and then you were here for more or less the rest of it. Is there anything that you wanted to bring up really quick before we get out of here?
No, honestly, again, that was my big thing. How I loved about this season was the fact that the repercussions of what happened in 1 and 2 before he sucked, back in time and such, were answered, because they're not. No one's just gonna go, oh well, 3 kids, disappeared into the woods and one came back missing a hand with a chainsaw. Yeah, Tuesday, so
day that ends in Y.
But so yeah, no, that was one of the things I really loved about this season. So if it's already been treaded over, I'm not gonna walk over it again. But no, again, I really love this season. I love this whole show. I'm excited to talk about season 3. But yeah, that was basically all I had. If you guys have already been over that.
All right, Robert. Anything that we didn't discuss that you feel we need to cover before we get out of here?
Briefly, just Jesse mentioned the soundtrack for this show is very good. Not quite Peacemaker levels, but pretty close.
Peacemaker still wins.
Peacemaker, James Gunn has yet to be outdone in terms of soundtracks for his movies.
I don't want to meet celebrities because they'll disappoint me like everybody else does in my life. However, I would sit with James Gunn and just talk music with him. He'll annoy me after an hour, but that first 59 minutes is going to be really, really good. The guy seems to really know his stuff, and it's seemingly based on his music choices between Guardians and Peacemaker and whatnot, can pull together a really, really nice soundtrack. That is one of the. I don't really worship at the altar of James Gunn, but that I do. But that aspect of his craftsmanship, I really, really enjoy.
So yeah, that's something that definitely needs to be given its proper due, because there's a lot of really good music that goes on in Ash vs. Evil Dead. No, I think that's kind of the only thing that really. Everything else about the show still remains very, very good, and Knowing where it goes in season 3, like I do, I think Dorian and I are the only ones who have seen season 3 out of this group, right?
I haven't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse, you mentioned before that you got to like episode 2 or 3 of season 2 when this first came on Netflix. I was right around the same because I remember the whole the morgue fight. I mean, what you see, Bruce, yeah, it's like what you see Bruce Campbell go up a corpse's ass. That kind of shit stays in your brain rent free. But yeah, I didn't know how this season was going to end. So I haven't had a chance.
Could you imagine being like an executive and you're not being sent dailies because you don't care enough? But like you are sent the final product, and you're just like, all right, what is this silly horror show that? Oh my God, what are you doing?
Once again, there's something grosser in season 3.
Oh, I can't wait.
You right.
All right, folks,
you can't tell me I'm wrong about that one.
That is our review, such as it was, of Ash vs. Evil Dead season 2. We were supposed to do a triple feature last night, but Dorian and Mick hate me and made other plans. So,
okay,
fine. Next time I'll be on the podcast while I'm driving, and when I die halfway through it, hey, you get more views.
Oh, imagine the views.
Shut up and let me do it. My favorite girl of all time, Alexis, did several podcasts while she was driving. Have that level of commitment, then come back to me.
They're completely unlistenable because you can hear the background, all the fucking trucks.
Let me mute myself so I don't hear the wind.
And in fairness to Dorian, that triple feature was not originally scheduled for yesterday. It got bumped there after Mark went, oh, the infrastructure in Florida is now stable enough.
Yeah, when God stopped fucking with me, that's when we can move it, see?
Yeah, be mad at him, not me.
So I assume everyone else is as flexible in their scheduling as I am.
All right. This Thursday, speaking of triple features, there'll be one hosted by Alexis with Dorian and Robert and possibly Jason. It is Apartment 7A, which apparently is just Rosemary's Baby again. Salem's Lot and Mr. Crockett's World. That's what Chris and Neil told me. And then we are, in fact, doing a triple feature that was supposed to be from last Thursday. This Friday at 9 o'clock. It is Blame It on Rio, LOL, and The Woman in Red. These are all American remakes of French films. Next week, we're back on schedule again. Finally, Chris Bailey. Sunday, oh, my love, my baby love, my special love. Hello, friend. You ready to go back
to the AI?
Is he ready to? Well, yeah, but look, I'm all into group stuff. You know that. So Jesse and I are
Chat GPT.
We're gonna be doing a session. We're gonna be doing an episode of
World's
Sessions, baby.
Worst pairing.
Radulich Broadcasting Network, the album, episode 3. Jesse, it's time, baby. We're gonna do a new Damn You Hollywood theme. I've already got the art already made for it. We're gonna do a new Damn You Hollywood theme and a Damn You Hollywood song, like we did with On Trial. So we gotta do a new intro and then just the song itself. So it's gonna be fantastic.
Got it.
You ready for this?
Oh yeah, man, I'm excited.
Every episode of Sessions is gold.
For anyone out there who has not watched Mark and Jesse play with the generative audio qualities, it's actually a really good time. Those are solid episodes.
Thank you, Robert.
That.
If Robert pays me a compliment, it must be fucking amazing because he hates my guts.
When are we going to record the Sith Lord song that I did for Acolyte?
Oh my goodness!
I have so many of these AI music projects lined up when we're done with Radulich Network, the album. So we're gonna get Dorian Sings eventually. Just you wait. Go play with your fucking wigs. We'll get to you, pal. We'll get to you. All right.
Go get your shine box, Dorian.
That'll be the different image for each song. Is Dorian in a different wig, smoking and singing?
Dorian's like, he's never this mean to me. I'm never coming late to a podcast again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like, I've been beat like this since I was a child.
I'm sorry, Mr. Scorsese, but if I'd rather piss you off than Mr. Radulich. You ever just panned? It's literally Martin Scorsese standing there like,
I'm sorry, Francis Ford Coppola. You're not nearly as passive aggressive as he is. Jesus Christ.
Actually, no.
Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Spielberg, but he scares me a lot more than you do.
Oh, Spielberg couldn't scare anyone.
Speaking of
have you never? Hang on. Whoa. Spielberg, the director, scares no one. That's true. Have you heard the horror stories of Steven Spielberg as a producer? Okay, hang on. Here's my favorite Spielberg story of all time. It's not a joke.
50 words or less.
Yes.
Okay.
So, the movie Twister, original, Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, directed by Jan de Bont. Famously troubled production. Had to blast all kinds of horrible light at the actors because the contrast was off because they were filming outside. Had to reorient different shots because the cloud cover looked better in a different direction than they originally set up. Giant pain in the butt. The production crew is pissed. The actors aren't exactly having a good time. This is being produced by, I think it's either one of Spielberg's companies because he's a big time producer.
It's Amblin or DreamWorks, but I think it's Amblin.
Amblin, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So word gets back to Spielberg about what's going on. Spielberg's private plane lands near where they're shooting.
Sounds like fucking Vince McMahon.
Hang on. This is worse than anything Vince. This is better than anything Vince would ever do. He calls the director over, says, "I'm gonna land. We're gonna have a talk." His jet lands. The stairs lower. Spielberg pokes his head out of the plane, does not descend. Spends 5 minutes yelling at this director because he's abusing his production staff. Dresses him down like 5-10 minutes. Pulls up the stairs, the plane takes off, and the production goes swimmingly from then on. That guy does not even get off the plane, and he puts the fear of God into this slightly out of control director.
I want that level of power more than anything I've ever wanted in my life. Anyway, speaking of
Spielberg, the director, wonderful to work with. If Spielberg is producing one of your things, you treat your cast and crew right, or so help you God.
Yes, Robert, we got it. Literally, he's repeated yourself now 3 times. Speaking of abusing people, Robert and I will be doing the top 10 worst movies of the year. And
worst
those movies,
streaming movies by Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start watching these with my kids tomorrow because they insisted when I read them this list. So we've got Lift with Kevin Hart, Founders Day, Unfrosted with Jerry Seinfeld, Night Swim from Fuck You, It's January, Atlas starring everyone's favorite Puerto Rican, Jennifer Lopez, The Outlaws, Space Cadet, which when I read that, I read that to Infamously Likes Everything Lily, and she was like, "That sounds like the dumbest shit ever. Why are you?"
Kevin Hart is in more than one of these movies. You all understand what we're doing to ourselves for you.
Jackpot with John Cena and Aquafina, which is the one my son's looking forward to. Damsel, which the critical drinker tore apart, and Ugly.
Hang on. As a minor note, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Damsel.
Wow, we found the line. We found it.
That's where it's at. Okay, Mark, if you want, I will record a 2-minute review of Damsel, and when you cut to Robert for that and go, "What was your review on that?" You can just have him hold up a button, click it, and it just my screen pops up and go, "Okay, so this movie, blah 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 blah," and then cuts off and go, "Okay,
go ahead and do that." But don't do what Sean did to me one time. So, real quick story. This could be a 3-hour podcast.
50 words or less.
Fuck yourself.
You could not tell the Almighty 50 words or less.
Fucking. First of all, I have to edit you fucking tangential trees down. Don't fucking tell me to shut up, Mister. Here's 20 facts about a car and a fucking cameo appearance by my mother's penis. I don't give a fuck. Shut up. Listen to me. Yeah.
So by the way, did you know that in season 2, Sam Raimi's first orthodontist is in?
Okay. So anyway.
Yeah.
So Mr. Hands of Stone but glass jaw over there, Mark Radulich.
Goddamn right. What the fuck was I even talking about?
You wanted me. We were talking about Damsel. He said he wasn't going to do it.
Tell me a story.
I will, Jesse.
Okay.
Directly to you, my love.
All right.
So the last Paranormal Activity movie that Robert and I reviewed, which went straight to streaming on Paramount Plus, I'm trying to do something nice for Sean, and I'm like, I know you can't make it to the review, yada yada yada. I'm like, do me a favor, just record your response to this, because Sean and I had done a whole thing on Paranormal Activities for Long Road to Ruin. I'm like, weigh in on this, and I'll play it during the podcast. He sends me this video. and I didn't. And it's not totally his fault. He didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't know this was going to happen. But he used footage from the Paranormal Activity movies in his response.
dear
I
God.
remember this.
And I'm playing it live, streaming, like we're doing now.
Shit.
And this is how I learned that if you do that, and YouTube in any way thinks it's porn, your stream gets killed, and you get a community infraction. So our entire stream got killed immediately. We pick up an infraction. I don't find out about it until after we've already ended the show. That we've lost a third of the show. We didn't know we were off air.
Oh no.
Yeah. So do me a favor, don't use any footage. Just your pretty face. Put a wig on if you need to. All right. Thanks. All right. So anyway, so that's what we're doing on all of that to tell you about the top 10 worst movies. And Robert's not going to watch Damsel. Fantastic.
Mark,
Robert's
I'm watching two. Hang on. There's 2 Kevin Hart movies on this list. I'm drawing that line somewhere.
What's the other one? I know one is Lift, but what was the other one?
I think there's another one on there. I'm pretty sure.
I didn't do whatever the new one is on Peacock, the Fight Night or whatever, which I think is actually a TV show, not a movie.
If this works, though, Robert's going to get to do a whole Letterman thing. Anytime he has a movie, like especially like something we don't want to watch, it's like, and play me off Dorian.
There we go. And now Dorian substitute review. All right, and then Wednesday I will be on Movies That Don't Suck and Some That Do. I use my powers of gaslighting and arm twisting and passive aggressiveness to get them to review piece by piece the Pharrell Williams Lego movie, and a movie I'm really interested in, Woman of the Hour, which comes out this Friday on Netflix. It's directed by Anna Kendrick, the actress, in her directorial debut, and it's about the serial killer who went on the dating game. I'm super interested in this movie, so I bullied them into doing piece by piece and that movie. So we will be reviewing that next Wednesday, and then Alexis and I will be doing, speaking of Bruce Campbell, Peacock's Hysteria, which is the action horror comedy TV series about the Satanic Panic. And Alexis will be in control of that conversation, and I will follow her lead. She will lead me. She gets to lead me around by a collar. It'll be fantastic.
Don't lie. That's one of your fetishes, and you know it.
He prefers to be led around by his septum piercing.
Gross.
How do we not have in all the clips someone just being able to click the button and it just Harvey Korman going kinky?
I'll work on that, producer. All right, Jesse Starcher, you're so quiet and well behaved. What do you do for a living?
My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, earlier
I'm not prepared.
I'm always prepared. Trust me. 10 minutes ago, Alexis mentioned that why hasn't Ash fought Leatherface? Well, he hasn't. Hasn't happened in the comics. Obviously, it hasn't happened in the movies. However, there is an Ash. Let's try this again. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash comic book, and that's right. The second one just aired as a syndicated source material, number 50 on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Mark Radulich, are you excited? Did you hear that? Syndicated source material is on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network.
Listen to the words coming out of my mouth.
Where's
my Flintstones?
Well, okay. Anyway, it's me and Gavin Napier. Mark was not part of this. Me and Gavin Napier. I knew it. We did Freddy versus Jason versus Ash Nightmare Warriors, which picks up where the first series leaves off. And we recorded this, and it was interesting because Gavin and myself were getting ready. We did this in 2015, and we were all excited about the Ash versus Evil Dead series getting ready to debut. So anyway, you can check that out. It was a good time, and you can go on the W2M
Freddy
Network.
becomes president.
Oh my gosh. It is bonkers. There are some words said about the writing and the plot, but we'll just leave it at that. Go check out that, and of course, check out the first one, which aired on the W2M network. It's syndicated source material, I think number 5, where we talked about Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. And current project also released on the Source Material Comics podcast feed, where myself and Al Sedano got together and to celebrate my 10 years of podcasting and doing a discussion on Quantum and Woody Volume 1. And I only have one phrase to say. If anybody has read that comic, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's Noogie and a Cape. And that's where we're going to leave that. That's all I have to say.
I know where you can get that if you want it. You don't have to ask me for it. Thank you.
That's it.
All right, Alexis Hejna. I talked about one of the shows, two of the shows that you're doing. What do you do for a living there, Toots?
Well, I do have a couple of other shows in addition to the triple feature on Thursday and Hysteria next week. November 6th, we're going to be doing Agatha All Along. On December 17th, we're going to be talking The Penguin. And Jesse, are we still on for October 29th to do a live source material discussing Serial?
It is on the schedule. I'm ready.
Yay! Dorian, you're still in for that one? Okay, very
up.
All right, looking forward to it. This is going to be a fun comic to talk about. I want to get to the point where the king of the leprechaun says that revenge is magically delicious.
Yes.
All right, as well as for what I do when I'm not here just humiliating myself, for Mark Honeysuckle Rose Creations.
I know where you can get that. You don't have to keep asking me for it.
That one sadly worked.
That's what she said.
Where fashion meets
That
fandom at
one
the
didn't.
intersection of geek and chic. We're getting ready for Planet Anime this weekend in Kansas City. A few weeks after that, we're going to be going up to Minneapolis in November. I Must Be Insane. We're working the Twin Cities Comic Con. Looking forward to that one. It's our first time going to that one. It's got a great guest list, including Hayden Christensen. We're actually getting Anakin Skywalker. I didn't know he was on the con circuit, but he's probably going to bring in a crowd, so looking forward to that. Then that is the last of our conventions for 2024, and we will be getting ready for our Black Friday sale. And I do, of course, need to drop the news about our charity drive. We do this every year. Every sale that now we have two stores, one on Etsy, one on Handmade at Amazon. Every sale that is made from those two stores, for every individual sale that is made, we will be donating $5 to St. Jude. This goes on from Black Friday all the way to Christmas Eve. So come check out our stuff on our two stores. We've got a ton of fun, geeky jewelry. Got a lot of horror themed stuff because total glutton for horror, and I love making scary stuff. As always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I will never call it X, and TikTok. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
All right, Dorian from Frankie Pictures. Hit it, baby.
What? No slam on that? Really? I was waiting for.
A good person knows when to stop beating.
I was preparing myself. Oh, you know what my childhood was like. Swing away. Oh, you made it sad. You made it sad.
I'm so tired of people telling me to beat them harder. I'm tired.
I know where to get that. You don't have to ask me. But at Frankie Pictures, if it needs to be filmed, if it needs to be photographed, if it needs to be edited, help us to help you. Come to us, and we can make your dream a creation. Big news on the forefront for us is that we are now finished with, as of next Wednesday, when it will probably go up, if not that Friday, just depending on when the artist gets back in town. Local artist here in Kansas City, but also has played nationwide and is going overseas starting next year. Drew Six, which is a rock country artist. Check him out on Spotify, Apple Music. If there's a place you can find music, you can find this man. We have just finished his music video for his song "Just Spit Time." Song being about, well, the fact that time does move on, but that doesn't mean you have to be sad about it. And we worked really hard on this. We're very excited about it. Also, we wrapped as of last week the music video for Jensen Dings for the fantastic Ryan the Express, the Ryan Express band, which you will be able to see not only on Facebook but YouTube, Spotify, and so forth. We have several more music videos as well as shows coming up here soon. Technically out of town right now on a project that kind of got thrown into the blender, even though we had tried to plan it better. But nobody listens to the kids, so it's whatever. It's fine. And they're actually most of the crew.
Nobody listens to Pete.
The funny part about this is most of the crew, the producer decided to give us a break, and most of the crew is watching now. So hi guys, be back in just a second. Well, I think we're almost done. So I hope you enjoyed your hour break. But no, again, at Frankie Pictures, we have all the gear, we have all the talents, we got the tools, and we got the talents. And as my grandpa Richard would always say, we always offer 5-star quality for 2-star prices. So hit us up. We'll see you soon.
Speaking of nobody listening to Pete, Robert Winfree, what are you working on this week?
Trying not to die,
Perfect.
mostly. We'll see how that goes.
Don't die before Monday. I need you.
I'm not sure that fits into my schedule. We'll see.
The suspense is what kills me. Go on.
Well, look, if I was ever consistent about this, you wouldn't actually love me. I
just want this to end.
I sympathize, Mark. I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com, WWE SmackDown on Fridays, UFC events on Saturdays. Last Saturday was an event at the UFC warehouse. I would so much rather have been watching live Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, but sadly I had to watch that after the fact.
That was a good fight.
It was a very good fight. UFC event, one good fight. Main event was really good, actually. Full report is in the MMA Zone of 411mania.com. That's my live round-by-round coverage and scoring. If you want my thoughts in a slightly different format, please tune into the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. This last week, I reviewed that event, previewed the upcoming warehouse series of fights, and talked a little bit about Conor McGregor and Dan Hooker trying to fight, which is actually going to fell apart hours after. They both said, hey, how's February work in Saudi Arabia? And then nobody else cared. So Dan Hooker said, yeah, actually my next child is due in February. So the month before or the month after we're golden. And Conor then said, well, clearly no one wants this because Conor is high as a kite. I don't think that man's been sober in 5 years. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, Robert.
So thoughts on that? Again, the wide, wacky, wonderful world of mixed martial arts. This coming, again, there's a UFC event Saturday I'll be covering. And yeah, that's where you can find me Thursday on the triple feature with Alexis about Salem's Lot, Apartment 7A, and I forget the title of the third
Mr.
one.
Crockett's World.
Thank you. I will watch, I still have to watch 2 of those. I'll watch them before the review, obviously. And then, yeah, all the bad stuff on Monday.
Woo!
I am gonna have to try and cram so many movies into.
Yeah, I got a
time.
busy weekend watching movies ahead of me. Gonna watch a couple. I said we're gonna watch a couple tomorrow night because my son was like, "We should watch movies before we go back to school." And I'm like, "Oh, I have some terrible ones we can do. Let's go."
Yeah, I gotta start doing that, and that'll be fun.
All right.
Fun.
The next Ash versus Evil Dead will be November. Will be November.
It's like the last line that Ash reads.
November.
November.
I swear to God, it was an N-word.
It'll be Veterans Day, November 11th. That's when we're doing this. So that'll be on a Monday because there's no Damn You Hollywood that week. So that'll be fun. All right, folks. For Dorian Price, Jesse Starcher, Robert Winfree, Alexis Hejna, I'm going to bed. Be well, be safe, and very nice, Alex. Behave.